Let's make this quick. This is the review for the Power Rangers Lightning Collection Mighty Morphin Pink Ranger, the first female in this specific toy line. Let's get started. Okay, bringing her in for a closer look, and we can see that she is definitely a female body mold, as opposed to the males of the line. As this is the first, this will probably be the one that'll be reused. So let's see what they offer, and there's been some compromises. Now the butterfly joints are still here, but they're pressed more inside the mold, so you can still do the whole bendy part. It just makes that the top part looks more narrower than it should be. Yeah, I would think you'd put some wider elbows here. Like I wouldn't mind if it stuck out here. And there's also some paint choices with this that makes it look funny, but because they copied from the Legacy line where the diamonds are all on top of this joint so that it moves on its own without interruption. And if you get out of the box, the skirt is a flimsy one piece like the figure arts, which is good, you can flex it, but if you get out of the box like this, it might be pulled up too high. And with this, it makes her top body look very scrunched up. Like this is way above her belly button. Fortunately, you can move this piece down, and there you go. This looks like the Pink Ranger we all know and love. And this is probably intended because, I'll show it on this one. Inside some of these lightning figures, they have indentations to put the belt in. And I see that inside her skirt there's the same thing at this level. So for future figures, they could just put the belt at that point, take the skirt off, and there you have your body mold for skirtless female rangers. So that's all said and done. It's just that, oh, and because it was up there, there's some paint blemishes here, and noticeably one on her butt, because the skirt was already at that position earlier. So be aware of that quality control when you pick up your figure. The other one for me is that this arm is flimsy, so it can't hold accessories well. So just be aware of that once you pick up these ladies off the shelves. Other than that, it looks pretty okay if you just don't focus too hard on certain spots. Again, I wish that the elbows would be, the shoulders would be further out, and that the paint could go down, because on the Beast Morpher figures, their designs go past this section, and it looks just fine when you move them around, so I don't see that big of a compromise with it. So that's like my one gripe with this, but otherwise, it's very well done otherwise. There might be some little paint differences. I think the center of this one is a little more purplish than the others, but I've seen the same thing on my figure art, so this might be a common thing with the color pink. And also our helmet is a little wider than normal, but other than that, it's still pretty accurate. There's some missing paint right there, but yeah, still pretty good. Articulation wise, for the female figures, again, 360 for the head, up and down. Moves at the waist up here. Unfortunately, there's gaps, and you can reach those gaps real easy as opposed to the males, which is a bummer. I'm not sure if the skirt was trying to hide that. It shouldn't. And there's another joint down here that can bend on its own, but it just looks real funky and going side to side. Again, this is one of the first ones that had the, like the downcharge red had the belly exposed, and it's just not the perfect bend. Arms can go out, go around, go forward that far, go back that far. They only have a single joint here, so you can't bend it all the way in, and I see this is the thing with female figures, especially with the Marvel line. I'm not sure why they do it, but it's how it is. And these things, these arms can also, these hands can come out, go back and forth, except for one, and I'll get to that later. The legs are okay, they spread okay. They twist up here, double jointed knee, twist at the boot. There's a little wider cut, but that's the same for the figure arts, no problem there. Bend right there. Bend up. And, oh, sorry, swivel. So you get pretty good range out of her. Just only the proportions just look kind of funky. But it's not the worst thing. I think it's more just the paint details that throw her off. And that skirt gap that threw me out the first time. Alright, now let's get to accessories. First big one, and it's a sad fact for many, though not a deal breaker for me. This is not Amy Jo Johnson. Which is sad because it's painted well all around. You got the earring details, you got the blush. But this is not her face. And I think they got these from some early promotional material. Which is funny because Jason face from the Comic-Con exclusive also has this issue, but somehow Tommy evaded it. And that they don't get really good scans for the original Rangers, any older Rangers. But as you see with the Beast Morpher heads, they can get better scans off of the recent Rangers. So I don't know how Tommy got away with a decent face and she got off with a face. Not something I would worry about, but I'm not going after the heads. But some people will, and this is kind of a funny face. And I would prefer a stoic look as opposed to the smiles and giggles if they can't quite get this right. She comes with a right chopping hand and a left closed fist, and then her other open left hand can be used to hold her blade blaster, which fits perfectly fine, although a bit loose depending on how much you use the fingers. And you will be using the fingers because the one she comes with initially is her bow hands. And this could be problematic because, and this is the second problem with the figure, the bows doesn't hold that well, particularly the arrow. This is the same hand used to hold the gun, and it fits okay. Now the problem you're going to have is the arrows, because they're going to have to slot into these two whole fingers right here. There's not really a good way to hold it, like the figure arts had that special the arrow hand. So it's really finicky to try to get the arrow, just the normal arrow in there. And you can see that finger gaps can get too wide. So you can't really fit it as well as I would want to. So it's going to be very, very hard to pose this in the way. Oh, and surprisingly the bow for our note doesn't have any indentations where to put the arrow itself. Although it does have indentations for the power weapons. So most likely if you get all 5 of these from the Rangers, you can still form the power blaster. Well, that'll be worth seeing if it happens. Right, but as for this arrow, it's not really a no-go. It's really hard to point out. Funny enough, it's with the lightning effect, which is just a more glorified arrow, that you can cheat it out because there's little notes right here. Especially this one down here, you can slot right into the fingers. Like that, and you can cheat. There you go. See, that looks alright. So ironic with that, with the lightning effect, you can cheat the arrow shot, not so much with the actual arrow. So just be aware of that once you get this figure. You're going to have that complication. And it's worse on mine because, again, I have the floppy arm. So, going forward, just be careful of what arms you have. And here's your figure comparison. And you can see right away that the Lightning Collection is a lot better than the Legacy. Even just in color alone, it matches the figure arts right over here. In fact, for a while I was thinking this was the figure arts version fiddling around with, but then I just remembered the pattern. So you can see, at least on the figure arts, they matched the diamond pattern. I think it made it a little too big, but at least it goes towards the bottom and there isn't a gap. So that illusion isn't as broken as on here. They just have to copy from the Legacy. But otherwise, it's a pretty good middle ground. And you can get this figure for $20. The thing is that it is a short packed figure, surprisingly. I would think that the Magnet Defender with the cape and the big gun would be the one. But no, it's actually, this one's going to be just as hard to find as Lord Zed over here. The guy who has the demon looking one with the muscles and the piping. So just be aware of that. This one's going to be a little hard to find, but it is doable. And again, be aware of any factory errors that may get in your way, because I do worry that this arm's going to fall off one day, but I'm not too busy about it. So yeah, if you can find it, go get it. Surprisingly, now this one was found at Walgreens, of all places. Not a Walmart, not a Target. Go to Walgreens. I found everyone except Mike there. Try it out, see if it works for you, and see if you can buy this and get Hasbro's attention to get more female figures. Maybe I'll do something, maybe I'll do not. Otherwise, she's out there. Go get it. Review's over. Thanks for watching.